Welcome to another episode of Katie the Science Lady. I'm Mrs. Jacobson, and today we'll be talking about defending the body from illness and injury. So let's learn together. Let's talk about how our body defends itself from foreign invasion. And by that, I mean from things like bacteria and viruses, funguses, etc. This is particularly interesting right now because we are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, and we need to understand our systems of defense and then how they can break down, because that really helps us understand why people are getting sick and how we can helpfully prevent it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. The integumentary system is our first line of defense. This is our skin. So if you think about it, this should make sense. It's the outermost part of your body, and it's meant there for protection. So our skin is going to be protecting us, and it uses a couple of different things to do this. One, it's a physical barrier. It prevents bacteria and viruses from getting inside of us and infecting the different tissues of the body. It also protects our organs from the damage from the sun. Instead, our skin can be damaged, but that's generally better than having your heart or lungs damaged by UV light. The skin also produces sweat. It produces different secretions and oils to help prevent bacteria and viruses from getting inside your body as well. Openings in the skin can leave us vulnerable. So if you get a cut, you can have bacteria or viruses enter your body through that cut because you've made a gap in your first line of defense. So after that, it'll be the job of the immune system to kind of hunt those pathogens down and destroy them. Now, that word I just used, pathogen, that's what we use to describe a disease-causing agent, whether that's bacteria, viruses, or a whole nother host of disease-causing things. We call them a pathogen. So please just keep that in mind. I'll probably use that term throughout this video. Other openings in the skin include the nose and the mouth, which is why you're asked to cover your mouth when you cough or sneeze. And particularly right now, we are wearing our masks to close off our nose and our mouth so that we are not inadvertently breathing viruses on people around us. Because those openings are very vulnerable. If we breathe in a virus or bacterium, it will go straight through that first line of defense because there's just no barrier there. We need that there, those openings, so that we can eat and breathe. And those are slightly important things as well. Over here on the left is a picture of your skin. So this is not a picture of snake scales, like my students always say. It's not a picture of the outside of a vegetable of some kind. Some people have said it looks like a cactus to them. This is actually a close-up picture of your skin. They look like scales to me. So your skin, the cells are long, flat discs, and they overlap to try and prevent as much as they can those pathogens from getting inside your body. Over here is a picture of a bacterium. Those aren't grapes. I always get that question, Miss, those are grapes. They're not. That's a bacterium. They're very tiny, and they're trying to get inside your body so that they can replicate and reproduce. And our skin's job is just to provide that first line of defense, that first protective layer against these pathogens. Now, once a pathogen gets in front of or inside of our integumentary system, our immune system kicks in. It's triggered when we bypass this integumentary system. Whether you have a cut, whether you got surgery and a bacteria or virus got through that incision, or if you just breathed in at the wrong time, unfortunately, our immune system will get triggered. We have white blood cells of varying kinds whose job it is to respond to this call. So we have red blood cells that help us carry oxygen through our body, and we have white blood cells whose job is to make up the immune system. Some of them eat invaders, and we call this process phagocytosis. I talk about this when in our video about active transport. So if you need to go over phagocytosis, or you just want to watch a video about phagocytosis, please go find my video on active transport. I'll try and link it somewhere around here. In addition, other white blood cells produce antibodies. That's a word you've probably heard a lot lately, because when you are exposed to a pathogen, your white blood cells produce antibodies, and these are little proteins that attach to the pathogen, and it tells your body, hey, this needs to leave. We need to destroy this immediately. So in the context of COVID-19, when your body comes in contact with it or via vaccine, your body produces antibodies. Your white blood cells will say, hey, this should not be here. It makes antibodies against it so that you can identify that pathogen quickly in the future. So the goal is to be able to identify those invaders very quickly so you can destroy them before they make you feel sick. This is why many times you may be exposed to pathogens but never get sick. Your immune system, if it's healthy, can fight off these invaders pretty quickly a lot of the time. This is a picture over here of a white blood cell attacking a bacterium. It is engulfing it or eating it in the process of phagocytosis. If you've never seen this happen before, you won't necessarily be able to see it with a white blood cell on a YouTube clip, but you can try your best to find clips of phagocytosis. It's pretty cool watching either single cells just engulf their food. It's pretty awesome. Over here we have a rendering of antibodies. This is not what an actual antibody looks like. Obviously, they're really, really tiny. This is just an example picture. So these are just little markers that hang out on the outside of the pathogen, and it just marks for your body, it basically for destruction. It's just like a little flag that says, destroy this one. That's what I picture in my head. Over here, this is our stem cell kind of chart, and it's showing you all the different ways we can create white blood cells. So you can kind of ignore most of this, but it's showing you how an uncommitted stem cell or one of those cells that can become anything can become a red blood cell down here on the left. It can become platelets, which are the factors that allow your blood to clot together so you don't bleed out. We also have many types of white blood cells here in the middle. We have neutrophils, basophils, and eosinophils. And then we also have macrophages and there's many, many other types of white blood cells as well. So they're all working together in your immune system to help fight off these pathogens. We cannot talk about defending the body from illness and injury without talking about a couple of other systems as well. The skeletal system plays a huge role in our defense. We know it provides structure and support for our body. It allows us to stand up straight and not just fall over as a bag of jello. But it also helps us protect our fragile organs. The skull helps protect your brain. Your ribs help protect your lungs and your heart and another huge number of your organs. And your pelvis also protects organs that could be fragile. Your larger bones contain bone marrow. So the inside of the bone, because it's a pretty big bone, your legs like your femur, your upper arm like your humerus, they contain bone marrow, and that produces red blood cells for you and also white blood cells. The white blood cells produced there are going to be moved through the whole body. So the skeletal system basically creates the cells for the immune system. So they are really, really linked in that way. This is a 3D rendering of all the organs that your ribs are going to protect. If you can see here, you've got your breastbone here. You've got all of your ribs kind of lined up here. And you can see on the inside, this is your heart. And you also have the lungs. And if you take a close look, you can see that your lungs pretty much follow the line of the rib cage. So the rib's main goal just is to protect those organs. They are there to support them and make sure that you don't get smushed, basically. In addition, we have another system that is sometimes considered part of the immune system, but I like to think of it as slightly separate. This is the lymphatic system. You may have heard of lymph nodes before, and it's something that the doctor will check in a checkup. They'll kind of press here underneath your chin, and they may even press in your armpit because you have lymph nodes in those areas. And lymph nodes help filter out dead viruses and bacteria from the blood. So I'll take myself for example. Before I even feel sick, if I have some sort of infection, I can feel it in my lymph nodes. They get swollen and pretty painful, and I know that my immune system is fighting something off because my lymphatic system is having to filter out all those dead viruses or bacteria. It's having to work extra hard, and I can feel that literally with my hands. These lymph nodes are all throughout the body, and the lymph is its own system. So I think of it as kind of like a separate waste system. It just takes all of the junk basically out of your blood and filters it out and gets rid of it. And you can see in this picture over here, we do have clusters in our neck, in our armpits, and in our groin area. Those are all the areas where you're going to have large numbers of lymph nodes, but you also have some in your knees, you have them in your stomach region, on the inside of your elbows, and quite a few other places as well. They consist of nodes and vessels. So the nodes are kind of the like little, I don't know, they look like little green eggs in this picture, but they're the little orb-looking structures. And the vessels would be what looks kind of like green arteries or veins. And that's going to be the way that you carry out all of those dead viruses and bacteria.
While we may think that defending the body against illness and injury is mainly a job for the immune system, our body's first line of defense is actually our integumentary system, our skin. Now, if an invader gets past that first line of defense, then our immune system steps in with its myriad of different types of white blood cells and other helper cells that's job is to target the pathogen and destroy it. We also have a couple of other systems that are tangentially involved. Our skeletal system produces white blood cells for us in the bone marrow and protects our organs physically against injury and damage. Additionally, our lymphatic system is there to filter out any dead bacteria or viruses away from our organs and get rid of them so that we can clean out our body of these unneeded cells. That's it for today. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you later.